guys. 7:57 on a Friday. On my way down to the shop. Late start. Didn't sleep much last night. Couldn't rest. The rain has arrived, as you can see. It's a wet day. We've got Land Rover Discovery Sport in today. The one we did the other week for all the Alderson gear. That's now coming in for an lc7i. We've got a sum the front channel, which is all separated, bass, mid and treble. We'll change the rear speakers. We've already done the dynamatting, and that should be it. The stuff has arrived for the smart car as well now, which is great. So we can get the fascia kit and the Evo stuff put in the Smart 4.4. We are due to have some quite biblical rain and wind today. It's supposed to be quite stormy, but by the looks of it, it might sort itself out by Saturday night, and Sunday's supposed to be quite good too. So fingers crossed. It might not be a washout this weekend. We might get a chance to do something, and I would like to go out to this supercar thing and see what's turning up at C&M. But for now, breakfast, work, do some jobs. See you in a bit. Morning, boys. Right, Friday. Let's just turn this down. So, a couple of things. Discovery's in, and I've already got the seat out. I've got my DM RTA set up, and we'll do some testing with this in a minute. Now, this was mentioned on the channel the other day. Somebody asked a question about how do you get decent sound out of a factory system. Well, the idea being is that this system can't be changed. So the screen is one part, the controller is another. It runs an amplifier, which is here, factory system, and on this one we have the gosh, I can't remember which one this is, but it's a 4-channel Hertz amp, something or other. Anyway, so we've got an amplifier. We've got a, is it Hertz or is it Alderson? I forget. Anyway, what we're basically doing at the minute is we've got a rear pair inputting into the amplifier, and then from there we're using that bridged over to 4 channels of output rather than just the 2 channels, and that's a full range rear signal, which is then powering the front speakers as well. Now, with this system, there's parking sensors and all sorts of other stuff that comes through the front speaker channel, so we need to get the front speaker channel working again. But the problem we've got is a 2-channel rear output, so a left and a right, but at the front technically it's 6, okay, and that's 3 each side. So we've got a mid bassy output, we've got a higher mid-range output, and we've got a tweeter output. Now, normally you just take a feed like we've done from the rears, put that into the amplifier makes it louder, puts it out to the speakers. With this system, we can't just amplify a mid signal, we can't amplify a tweeter signal, we can't amplify a bass signal, because we want all of them together to give us a full range signal. So what we do is we use a thing called an lc7i. It's just arrived. This thing's from Audio Control, and there it is. And what we basically have is tweeter input, mid-range input, sub input. That will then sum these together, so electronically it makes all of those 3 signals in part become 1 and sub. Okay, so what we're basically going to have is the bass, or sorry, the tweeter, the mid-range and the bass signal squished together to make us 1 signal, which then the amp can deal with. So this will deal with the front end that's separated technically into 6 channels at the minute, 2 of bass, 2 of mid, 2 of treble, and it will convert it into just 2 channels of full range. So we're going to sum up the signal from the Discovery into 1 channel, and then this can go out to the amplifier. So we'll have a separate rear input and we'll have a separate front input by using this and summing them all together. This has GTO, great turn on, so we can use the sound recognition from a signal that goes into here to turn on this, and from that we can actually then power a remote output, which will then power the amp up separately to, you know, just an ignition feed or whatever. Obviously factory systems don't necessarily have an amp turn on, so you can use the sound source DC offset, great turn on, to use as a remote output for your amplifier in order to turn your equipment on. This thing also has an AccuBass, so if you're using a system where the bass is taken away at high volume, this restores that bass back in so you don't lose the sound quality. We've got to take the top off by undoing some screws, and I've got to change some pins, dip switches, some bridging tools inside here to get this to do what I want it to do. But that's basically where we're at today. So using the RTA, we are going to put some pink noise on the stereo, and then individually I'm going to listen to speaker channels through here, and then visually that will then come up on my RTA and it will show me what kind of sounds we're listening to, whether it's a bass, a mid or a treble. From there we can then wire that into the lc7i, whether it's a bass channel, mid-range channel or a tweeter channel, and then that will give us our squished together full range signal. I say squished together, it's not compressing sound, it's just summing them up, but I say squished together as in it's 3 channels going to make 1, and that's basically what we're going to do. So we'll get the unit off the lc7i, we're going to get the unit off that, do all the pin switches and dip switches and things that we need to change, the bridging bits, then we'll come use this, test the equipment, figure out what does what, then we'll wire it into the lc7i from an RCA lead then into the amplifier, and then we will have front and rear fader, but also this is going to be summed. That's today's task. So the question, no, just because you have a factory head unit doesn't mean you're limited to what you can put in your car. There are many different ways of interacting with factory stereos now, because they are getting more like this, where it's a tablet style screen, or the screen and the head unit controls are separated. You don't necessarily need to change the head unit anymore. Yes, if you've got an older vehicle with integration issues, as in you haven't got CarPlay or Android Auto, then there's a problem. But for sound wise, no, just because it's a factory system doesn't mean you can't have good music. And we will prove that today. See you in a bit.
So high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and hope.
Right then, my guys, let me show you what we've got going on here. So I've done a bit of digging. I've got my pin outs, done a bit of checking. Now currently we are playing pink noise on the USB stick just in there, through the factory radio, medium volume, and now I'm measuring on my RTA, my DM RTA, what we are basically seeing through, hope you can see that, what we are basically seeing through the visuals of the amp outputs. So I've got my 4 pairs here, so mid bass tweeter running through the DM RTA. So that one there shows us that we've got a mid bass signal. There's no real low end bass, but there's no real high end tweeter either. So that's on one channel. I'm now going to swap it, and we can then move this over to a tweeter channel. Let me just plonk the tripod down, lift you up a little bit, bear with. Right, you see the screen there? Yep. So mid bass currently, so we'll take this out of here, we'll go for another pair, we'll go for this one here. And there you go. So now I've changed my pin for another pair of speakers, and what we have now is a tweeter frequency. Can you see here? So all of the volume and stuff that we've got now is just at the bottom, just up this end. So no mid bass, no bottom end, just treble. So we found mid range and a treble signal. We just confirmed the other 2 as well. Just got to do this carefully. So there we go, another mid-range signal. So no tweeter up here, just mid-bass down the bottom. And then lastly we should have another tweeter signal. There we go, another tweeter signal. So we found our front left, front right, and we've got our two channels of input that we need to sum together to give us a full range. So we're going to get doing that. Plug this in, power up the lc7i, go from there. Lots of metal work, metal clips, got to be careful. Don't want to blow anything up. They touch together and
I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Flying, get on board. We're smiling on top of the world.
Right then dudes, dinner has happened and so has some sound. So we've got our powers fused, remote with the turn on. That's now powering the amplifier with the correct turn on. We've got ground, we've got our speaker ins. So what we're currently doing is, this is rear channels, which is pretty much just like a pass through because this is full range anyway. And then these two, I've changed the dip switch, which is summing the, can you see there? I've changed the dip switch, which is summing the center channel to channel, or channel 2 to channel 3. So channel 3 is its own entity, and then 1 and 2 is tweeter input, mid-range input, and that's being summed together to make one output. So we've now got the parking sensor beeps back, we've now got the bings and bongs, admittedly a little bit loud, obviously it's running through an amp, but it's working. Now I've just got to get that in there, tidy up some cabling, get the seat in, put the carpet back, and then we can just change the rear speakers and it's good to go. But so far,
See cars.suzuki.co.uk.
it works.
TNT Sports is here for fans like you.
Happy days, right? See you in a bit.
A few inches later.
Right then dudes, here we go. So I've made two little PVC stays. Sorry, just messing with the camera battery cover, just had to change a battery. Right, here we go. So I've made two PVC stays to hold the lc7i. I don't want it on the amplifier, so I want a bit of airspace under here. So what I'll do is I'll trim the foam just so it's not leaning too much on this, but we've got then airspace for everything else, and this is it's supported enough. Cable's all tidied, got to put the seat back in, got to rearrange the sub cabling, but the lc7i's in and it's all working. We can still have our little vent. I've just got to sort this cabling out, and then I've got to change the rear speakers, so I'll come back to you in a bit.
Dangerous times, don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind. Flying, get on board. We're soaring on top of the world. Flying, get on board. We're soaring
Right then dudes, range is done. So speakers have just been changed. We've got some kicker KS's in the back because these handle some good power. We've got rid of his standard ones, fitted some adapters. Obviously we've got the lc7i in there. So rears is like a pass-through off the head unit, and then the front channel is obviously now summed. So we get audio from the parking sensors, front and rear, and also the stereo. Just going to start it up, see if I need to clear the airbag code where I had the chair unplugged, or whether it's, no, it's cleared itself. That's cool. Just let this thing warm up, do a little sound check. I've already had a bit of a listen, it sounds good. Yes, the door is open, it's fine, stop panicking. Right, let's go on to the digital radio.
And then it would have been a completely different thing.
I did look at the time first, I must admit.
Sorry for when you...
Yep, it works.
Bobby, 1999. I've been working at it ever since I came to this planet. I ain't quite there yet, but I'm getting better at it. Matter of fact, let me tell it to you one more again.
Yeah, I'd say that works. This one's done, fellas. I'm gonna have a drink of water, maybe a cup of coffee, get this one out, get ready for Dave to pick it up. Another one bites the dust. Happy days. See you in a bit. Right then, dudes. We are done. What a day. A very busy day. Lots of stuff happened. Hope you found that informative. A bit more in depth with regards to systems and stuff and how things work. And a different product. Tomorrow, I've got two in, head unit. In a Mini Pioneer 160 and a face kit, and we've also got painter Gary, his boys coming in. We've got a fascia kit for him. He's got his own JVC stereo, and we're going to be sticking that in his Corsa with a reverse camera. So that's tomorrow's job. We may have a visit from Soundman 2.0 as well, but other than that, I am cream crackered. That's a busy ass day, but we got it done. See you in the morning. If you like this video, throw me a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share. Let's make the algorithm happy. Other than that, boys, I'll see you in the morning, and girls. Toodaloo.